Good evening, everybody. Tonight is Monday night, the 29th of April. April's nearly gone already. I know they say the year's flying by, but this actually is right now. We're about to hit May, and May's an exciting month for this band coming up, the Golden Gaytimes. They've got a big tour in amongst a album release that's been out for a little while, but it's now time to really start to gig the album now that I suppose we've opened up a little bit more, and there's a little bit more confidence in the market, I think you say, at gig level and band level and venue level, although we're sadly still losing a couple of venues in amongst all this. So please get out and support local venues. Most importantly, get out and see local bands. Everyone needs you to try and put your hand in your pocket and then give what you can to help keep live music alive, because we have so much fun, and this band is the ultimate in the fun machine. I refer to them as the Golden Gaytimes. We're lucky enough to have Jane Harvey talk to us tonight, affectionately known as Jane O. Everyone in Australia gets a nickname, whether you like it or not. So some interesting nicknames amongst this band for sure. But once again, I'd just like to thank Chris Familton for hooking us up and joining us with the Golden Gaytimes, and especially Jane tonight, who's representing the band. It's great that we're able to talk to so many artists. Episode 135 now of So What's Been Happening. This little humble show started off as a one-episode wonder that was never supposed to go past one episode, the old story. But in this case, we're talking to a lot of artists and bands and all sorts of interesting people that can talk a little bit about their life and their journey, and hopefully some people get something out of it and can resonate, because it's not all good news, let's face it. There's trials and tribulations that come with all sorts of people in amongst life, and things you don't know about. So I'm sure, who knows, there's a little gem in amongst Jane that she might uncover that someone might resonate with, and that's why we do it. So it sits in the vault in the library. It's not so much who and how many people are watching at our time. That's not the focus of our show. Our show is, it sits in the vault in 135 episodes that people get to have a look through, and we get bands back over time to talk about what's going on in their world. And I'm kind of in amongst the man flu, sadly, at the moment. So I've been battling that and trying, like all musicians do and artists and everyone else, the show must go on. So tonight, let's bring up Jane and have a chat about the Golden Gaytimes. So welcome to the show, Miss Jane Harvey.
Hey, Aaron, thank you. It's nice to be here. I love your backdrop. It's so psychedelic.
It is very fitting for your band, very much so.
Indeed.
Very exciting. Thanks for joining us on episode 135.
My pleasure.
I've only, to be honest, fairly new as far as coming across your band, but I love what I hear, and I love what I see visually, most importantly. So I really look forward to catching you on one of your Melbourne shows.
Yep, next weekend.
And they kick off, as far as this weekend, they actually kick off in New South Wales as well. So we'll touch on that one. It's Friday the 3rd, I believe. So we'll
Yes.
it's going to roar along pretty quickly this week, and we're into May, very
Yep.
much so. So Jane, let's kick back to where it all kind of began, and your first memory of music for you. What was on in the house when you were a little
Oh,
girl, spinning on that record
oh,
player?
yeah. So, first memory, that's a tricky one. Mum and dad were very much into music. Keep music live was their motto. So, Tinkles the Fluffer, our keyboard player, he's my brother. So we have obviously the same parents and the same upbringing. Yeah, so music was huge. Dad was a bit old fashioned. He didn't even like the contemporary rock and roll of his time, whereas mum was, into the Stones and the Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel and all of that. Dad was just really into his big band jazz and his Bing Crosby and that kind of thing. But he opened up a little more as we got older and became a little more influential. But yeah, it was a huge part of our upbringing. So certainly jazz. I do remember getting out the liquid paper and liquid papering over the letters of one of Tommy Dorsey's albums. But yeah, Edward and I used to sit under a table in the lounge room with album covers and pore over the words and things. I remember doing that with Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel, when we were quite little. And making that discovery, there's a couple of songs on that album where, and I can't think of which ones they are, maybe Why Don't You Write Me and The Only Living Boy in New York. There's a song that sounds really happy and buoyant, but it's actually about suicide. And then there's a song that sounds really, really, really sad, but it's absolute joy, And I remember as a kid kind of going, oh, isn't that clever how they've made me think this is a sad song, but it's not, and vice versa. That's an early memory, yeah.
I think
So,
that's a really interesting part of music and how it can be interpreted. It's not always just the lyrics, especially if it's in a certain tempo or a certain feel of the arrangement or something can completely change the tact on how the song comes across, no matter what
yeah.
the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to then just move to, as a little girl, then growing up and starting to get into or seeing music out there in the big wide world, stage shows, whatever it may be on TV.
Yeah.
What kind of came next for you? How did you find yourself in amongst music?
Musical productions. Musical productions were big in my family and growing up, and even my father, he's not alive anymore. He's very typical Aussie bloke, surf club, football, rugby league, publican, but he loved his Sound of Music. He loved his South Pacific. He loved all his musicals. So, yeah, musicals were a big thing. Top Hat and Grease were the first things we recorded on our VCR and, cutting out the ads and things so that we could watch them on repeat.
Yep.
Then I got to high school. I went to an all-girls school and we did school productions every year. So as a primary school kid going to St. Mary's productions, I became quite into Gilbert and Sullivan. But they'd virtually exhausted Gilbert and Sullivan by the time I got to high school. So I was in the Mikado and then a bunch of others. Always had to play a male because I was an alto, and because it was an all-girls school. So that's how you divided your male and your females. Your altos were your male chorus, and you take your boobs down and on stage. So there was that kind of stuff. I have dabbled in learning a bunch of instruments, but I kind of always ended up giving up because my brother seemed such a natural, and I felt that I had a block, in terms, so I've learned clarinet and I've learned piano and I've learned guitar and whatever, but, I can string a couple of chords together or whatever, but sort of nothing like that. Then as an older person, when I lived in Sydney, I joined a glee club, really. So Gleeks, we called ourselves, Glee Club for Adults. Real daggy, but a hell of a lot of fun and a lot of endorphins. We'd rehearse every Wednesday night. I'd walk out with a grin from ear to ear, and, we'd do a couple of performances a year as groups, ensembles, which was just fun,
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, fun is definitely the middle word for this band. It's an incredible show from what I see. I've seen snippets, and I can't wait to kind of get in amongst this. B-52s were huge when I was a kid, and coming through, and you've really just, obviously that's part of one of the inspirations, I guess, in amongst the band, or it's seen flavour of, or people might resonate with, as far as growing up with the B-52s and Love Shack and a few of those other songs that were so big for them. But a song that was really big for you, and incredible, from when you talk social media and how YouTube and watches and all those kind of things, which a lot of people, I guess, somewhat judge what the band's like and what kind of impact they can have. But 300,000 plus watches is just
415.
It's jumped heavily. But this is a song called
It jumped really quickly at the time. It sat around kind of 2000 for a bit, which we were really surprised about. I mean, we hadn't even gigged at this point. That clip came out before we launched the album and started gigging, and just, I don't know, it ticked some kind of algorithm, something. Who knows? Whatever. But it sort of sat at 2000 for quite, a few weeks or something. We're like, that's even a lot. And then my brother texted us on Christmas Day saying, holy shit, it's just hit like 18,000. It sort of jumped really quickly. And then over the next 3 days, it just like exponentially kind of doubled each day. So sort of in a matter of 4 days or something, it got up to 400,000.
Was there anything? Yeah. Was there anything at the time that kind of, like, that's the biggest challenge I think that some people try and face in social media, is what makes something, go crazy basically and really start to resonate in amongst social media?
We had no idea.
Yeah.
And really we weren't even prepped for it. Like, we didn't even have our own YouTube channel or anything. Like, it just all happened. And we're old, so we're not savvy with all of that. We had no idea, but it was in South America. Like, when you looked at the breakdown of the stats, Australia was 16th on the list of countries that had watched it most. So there's a lot of South American countries, and Germany, and like, it was really, we don't know. And people kept saying, "What's your secret? What's your secret?" It's like, don't ask us.
Yeah. Well, and we continue to ask you because it's an incredible number, no doubt. But what we're going to do is we're going to watch a minute or so of it, and then I'm going to urge everyone to jump on YouTube later and check out the rest of the clip. But one part of, I think, a magic in amongst what you've got is some of your clips and how they come together, and I think that's really cool. So we'll talk about that in a second as well. But here we go with I'm Tempted. Now, if you are tempted, make sure you get on YouTube and check that out, because that's really cool. That must have been fun, fun to film as well. The chicken dance, it had it all.
I know. We are very, very, very lucky to be friends with the wonderfully talented Matthew Walker, who is a filmmaker and editor. He's been in a band with Scott, who's, you know, one of the band members of the Gaytimes. They were in Forever Since Breakfast together, and Matthew's always been making the film clips. He recently made an award-winning feature-length doco that won Best Doco at Sydney Film Festival. Juanita, Queen of Honky Tonk. I'm not sure if you're aware of that movie. She's she was a honky tonk singer from Tamworth, and sort of a last-ditch effort went to Nashville to record an album. And Matthew followed Juanita for about 5 years to make that film. And so that won a lot of accolades for him in that documentary scene. But he's a friend of ours. And so he, it's basically pretty much, they're all his clips. We kind of get him to get involved. I mean, we had someone else help with Hot as Buggery, a colleague of his, but he's very, very clever at editing and finding quirky, wonky stuff, and he just seems to get our vision. It's I think it's the most important thing. You know, video schmidio, whatever, but it's the most important, almost the most important thing in our bag of tricks. He's just creating this whole lovely visual sense of kind of what we're on about. You know, I think he just does it really well.
Well, once you leave the stage, obviously, you know, you've just got the sound itself normally would sit there in people's ears. But the great old days at Embarks is the great old days of Rage and those kind of shows where you could sit back and capture, and hours would tick by, let alone almost days. Sometimes. And now we've got such a world of absorbing, you know, 15 seconds of content. But I think the great part about what you've got is from your clip point of view is you got catchy lyrics and catchy rhythms, and then you've got such a great visual component. It's one of those things that how do you not go and see this band? That's what I urge everyone out there to do. Please get out there and support these guys, Golden Gaytimes, in amongst the supports that they're going to have in amongst this tour. So let's just touch on this tour quickly. We'll play this little vid a couple of times, but there's a few dates coming up here, kicking off on the 3rd of May. So here we go. There you go. It's great. I love it. I love this song. This song in particular, the swipe right, swipe left. Tell us a little bit about it. I think I know what it's about, but obviously give me your little take on it.
Oh, well, it's about Tinder or online dating love hustle.
Yes.
It started when we went when we went up to our friend's studio at Rous Mill up in the north of New South Wales year before last to record some tracks. And there were a few people, because we kind of formed out of there were a bunch of us that were in a stupid little cover band called the Get Rich Quick Scheme, which sort of started as a joke to play for someone's 50th, but then grew into a few things. And we ended up doing a few gigs locally around here, Newcastle and Maitland and whatever, and got a bit of a following. But because we would make mistakes and because we were really kind of wonky and did really interesting covers that no one does, and, you know, dress ups and motorcycle burnouts in front bars of pubs and da-da-da. But when COVID hit, we couldn't gig. And that was when Scott it was a little bit like, well, we need to try and bottle this, because there was something going on. You know, there were more people coming each time. And anyway, so we went up to our friend's place up at northern New South Wales to record some tracks. And so there are a few people that were in the band that were on the album that are no longer kind of in the band anymore, if you like, just because of the way life works. But so Tia Maria, who's in some of the art and was on, some of the songs on the album, she was on her phone. We're in this van driving up the North Coast and she's getting ping, 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 because I don't know if you know how Tinder works, but it's your GPS. So as you drive through different areas, people can start swiping you. Yep. And I recognized a fella from like where my hometown. And I said to my brother, where does so-and-so live? And he said, up here at Yamba. I said, because he's just swiped on, Tia Maria here. And so we kind of tried to write a story around that. It was funny. But it didn't end up being that at all. Scott just did a great big deep dive into the coded language, the online coded language around it, and just opened up all these it's like, oh my God, that's what this is, and that's what this is. So it's just this really cryptic, kind of creepy song about shit that can go on if you do online dating.
It's a whole different world, online dating. I mean,
but
it used to be
it's all code. All of those lines in there, it's all code for things, threesomes and like whatever.
All right, we're going to play a little clip of it now. Swipe right, swipe left.
And it's the creepiest clip. It's so funny.
It is creepy. They're all creepy in a good way, but this one in particular. Here we go.
I don't cuddle after sex. I don't do coffee. Yes, I'm damaged. Just ask my ex. So you want someone easy going? I'll roll your eggplant in breadcrumbs. I'm not cooking for good looking. I'll survey before I succumb to the life. I'll deliver never random draws to the flame. Spark a unicorn love bomb. Where we land, where really
There you go. There's another one you need to check out, and that's another one of the singles off the new album, or the debut album, really. But it's an super exciting one, that's for sure. It's a great album cover too. Let's talk about it. The Hot as Buggery album. It's a great name for an album too. Very much a Aussie slang term. For those that don't know, hot as buggery, obviously meaning hot as hell, I guess you'd say.
Really hot day.
Incredibly hot. Yeah.
It's really hot.
It sure is. Tell us a little bit about the album art.
Spicy curry too. Hey, tell you what.
Tell us a little bit about the album cover.
So that's Fred Negro. Do you know Fred Negro?
I do, yeah. Yep.
Yes. So we tracked down Fred and asked him if he would do it for us.
Yep.
And he was quite happy to do that. It was an interesting experience because Fred's a bit old school. So the whole kind of, like he couldn't send us the file digitally. So we ended up with the original copies and all of that stuff. It was all done like hard copy in the post and that kind of thing.
That kind of makes it pretty special, really.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, so we've kind of become friends through all of that. So when we come to Melbourne, we play at St Kilda, and we always play with one of Fred's kind of, bands, because he's always got a few going around. But yeah, so that was quite a bit of a boon to get him to do that. And he's done a great job just doing all these weird little. Each of the images is actually like a little vignette for one of the songs, and he's done a caricature of most of us.
In amongst a big story, and plenty of characters in this band for sure. I mean, look at this. If that doesn't bring fun, I guess nothing will. And obviously was the inspiration behind my little background tonight behind me.
Yeah, okay.
Tell us a little bit about this photo shoot. That must have been some fun.
Look, that happened really quickly. My stepson Bede, he made all the Play-Doh. He had all the jars of Play-Doh, and he was just tasked with do some wacky eyes and mouths, and he did. And so he had them all laid out, and we had this big sheet of yellow. We had a friend there. We had a ladder. We're all told to wear a Larry top, as fruity as you can. Choose your face. And lie down on the ground, basically, and that's what
perfectly executed to the brief. Well done.
And then we had to because there were a few beards, so it was like, all right, well, let's spread the beards with the, distribute the beards among the non-beards. But beyond that, it wasn't, orchestrated in any complicated.
Sometimes they can be the best ones. That aren't overthought, because we very much are overthinkers, aren't we?
Yes.
In life these days, and so much content is thrown at us. But I think you've got a really unique, in today's world of music, where it's hard to get a bit of cut through, I guess, in amongst the blurry times of so much music getting out there and so many platforms and everything. I think you've got a great piece of content that hopefully can inspire a few more albums too.
Yeah, thanks, great.
So the great part is you get to gig it for a month now, pretty solid every weekend.
Well, we've been gigging pretty much since, so we kicked off in March last year. We've probably done about 40 gigs already in the last 12 months, which of course is not every night, but we've all got full-time jobs, and there's a few kids involved, and people have weird shift work and stuff like that. So when we can, we've been pretty busy. This will be our third trip to Melbourne, and we've been up to Noosa and Brisbane, and we've been up and down the coast and back and forth to Wollongong and Sydney a bunch of times. So so this is just a run that we're doing now, and we'll end up in back up Byron and Gold Coast, I think, in August. So but down to Melbourne next weekend, which will be good, and going down to Habberai, I think you must pronounce it, at Mornington. With someone called DJ Centipede and the Earthworms, which I'm quite looking forward to.
Yes,
and then as one of the fellas in the band said, that act's got legs. Well, half of them.
A few,
of DJ Centipede and the Earthworms. And then on the Saturday night, we're at Cherry Bar with Sand Dune and Lucy's Disorder. And then on Sunday, back at the St Kilda Bolo with Fred Negro and Dave Moll. So it should be fun. Yeah,
it sounds like 3 kind of unique gigs too. So if you can get across at least a couple of those out across next week, that would be great. Hot as Buggery, the single the song for the album title. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this one. We might play it, and then you can talk us kind of through it.
Okay.
Swimming through the sweat of a bubbling street, my brain turned to
There you go. As much as I hate cutting it off mid guitar solo, I'm going to urge you to jump on and see that one. That is a killer clip.
I love it.
You can't help but smile. You can't help but laugh. It invokes so many great memories of summer and the fun we used to have. It's a classic. So congratulations.
Yeah, someone wrote that it was like smell-o-vision, you know, like you could just feel how hot it was in that clip, you know. And it was actually 36 degrees the day we filmed it. We ended up with like great big brown, because it's all lo-fi. We've done so many film clips in my backyard. We ended up with great big brown patches on the lawn from one day, from like the slip and slide, the inflatable pool and the pink flamingo. Like one day, and the following, you know, on the Sunday we cleared it all away, and like it just burned brown patches because it was so hot the day we did it. So, you know, we were sweaty.
And anyone that appreciates editing and the work that goes into it, that's a killer clip. And in amongst all of them, congratulations to everyone involved in putting a clip together. It's not a cheap exercise, so anyone that can, you know, get involved in that and be able to do that, get some people involved, hopefully they get a bit of a return on it as well, or you can use it as leverage in some instances to help promote themselves. It's
well, Claire and Matthew worked on that one together. I mean, Matthew is the editor, but Claire did a lot of the filming. They are People Productions, I think the name of their little duo. And they're working up a Mental as Anything doco at the moment.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can really see it with them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you've paved the way very much in that instance. So,
but there's something, if I've got time, I did want to tell a funny story about Hot as Buggery. It's certainly being the name of the album. We had teed up, some fella down in Melbourne was going to arrange to get the album printed on vinyl. And, you know, we had this time frame and, you know, anyway, he emailed us and said, there's issues with the album where we're getting printed. It's printing, it's not a problem, but they won't give us the export license. We can't get it out of the country. So it's like, all right, so it's getting done in China, is it? And he was like, well, yes. So we had to go back to the drawing board and pay extra money and find somewhere else to get it done. But we were like, well, why would that happen? And he was like, well, you know, it's to do with, you know, sedition or you know, something. And we don't really know. But we figured they've just pumped through a translator, the Golden Gaytimes and Hot as Buggery, and come up with something that is not what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of wanted to get stickers to say "Too Hot for China," you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
To put on the album. So yeah, they've just come up with some wonky thing by putting it into a translator, and you know, come up with sodom.
Isn't that bizarre? Always, definitely, that's a great story. Very bizarre outcomes that you don't expect. So putting a vinyl together, it's kind of the done deal now. Back to what it used to be.
Apparently, it's cassettes if you're really hot at the moment.
Yeah, the hipster kids are doing the cassettes, I must admit. Cassettes, limited edition, super limited edition cassettes too. And there's not too many car players, although there was one in that clip. So you'll be able to find one if I've got one right here in my little studio here that often. I haven't got any new cassettes, I must admit, but I've got a whole stack of CDs I can't play either because I don't even have a CD player anymore.
Yeah, right.
But albums are really cool now, and very much a part of the era, obviously, of your music and your style. But really important that it's not easy to put together a vinyl and afford a vinyl release as well. So congratulations for being able to do that. And Half a Cow. .com.au. Let's give them a little shout out too. Some great artists in amongst their label. Cool logo they've got too. I must admit, I've got their one of their tees. So just couldn't find it in preparation for tonight. So it's out there somewhere.
Never mind.
And make sure you jump on a few of these links too. The best way to find the band, I think, is going to be Instagram, and then go through the links and also Facebook links, and also. You can jump on Half a Cow and find a release through
our artist profile thing,
through to their Bandcamp and artist profile. So I do have to touch on this one, which is the Golden Gaytimes theme. And this is one where the last track will kind of play as far as a visual goes, but it's a great one put together as well. All part of that kind of makes 4 or 5 videos that I've kind of come across, and it's not easy pulling together that much footage in amongst an album, but really exciting to be able to have that much.
It's all fine footage. We just reached out to everyone that had been to our gigs, because it's all live footage from, so it's a mix of all gigs.
Yep.
But it was just basically people had filmed stuff on their phone, and we kind of put the call out, and I got a Dropbox and got everyone to send it to me. And Matthew and Scott sat there one night and did an all-nighter and probably had some red wine and whatnot, and came up with it. It's good though, isn't it? It's fun.
Yeah, they came up with an absolute gem. So this will give a real feel for the band and how much fun you're going to have at the gigs. So make sure you get out there and check this one out. But here we go, Golden Gaytimes theme.
Welcome to the party. We're so glad you're here. Just give me a second to make one thing clear. It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. It's just 2 or 3 laps around the racing track.
Make yourself at home.
Oh yes, we want you to meet us, so you know who we are. Golden You'll wanna dance and maybe twerk. We're gonna help you with the devil's work. We're gonna shimmy, yeah, we're gonna shake. We're gonna make your G-banger break. Golden, Gaytime, Golden, Bring your friends and let their love hold you tightly. Go with the moves, you'll be so delighted. You might squeal, shout and sing. You want to marry us with a cheesel wedding ring. You know the difference between wrong and right. So get your love on like a Barry White. Golden, Gaytime.
Big finish.
Rock and roll.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked a lot about the visual component tonight as well, but there's some killer guitar riffs and piano solos and all, not piano, organ solos and all sorts of things. Like this is a killer band. So just tell us a little bit about the band and the current lineup that we can come to expect in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, okay. So we've got Scott, who we call How Would I Know on stage. He has written most of the music, like it's kind of his it's all in his brain. I mean, obviously he'll work with. So we had Greg, the Wolf Spider. He's still in our clips because he's on the album, but Greg isn't really in the band anymore. He found it all a bit sort of too stressful, So he's a fragile soul. So, but he still plays with us. So we get him in the film clips because he was on the album. But so Maddie has come in and he kind of plays. So we went from being a 3-guitar band to a 2-guitar band, basically.
Okay. Yep.
And so Matty, he dresses up as our Milky Bar kid, the white cowboy. So he's fabulous. He's actually been really crook. He's had septicemia and he's been in hospital for like weeks and weeks with pics and like seriously ill. So we actually have a substitute, like a friend filling in who's a fabulous guitarist, but he's just filling in for these gigs down in Melbourne. Maddie should be back by about June. Then we've got the legendary Luke Bennett on drums, and he's a machine, and he's the baby in our band at 42. So he's very fit. And he's terrific, and he's just an amazing guitarist, and he'll play with he has glowing drumsticks that and he plays with those, and people are just blown away with him because we've got a couple of songs where we get him to do quite a big sort of drum solo at the end, which is fabulous with the glowing sticks and his glowing glasses, whatever. Then you got Pete, who's on bass, and then Tinkles the Fluffer, Edward on keys.
Very nice. And a little shout out that the bass guitar is really cool. Peter Thomas.
No, Pete Edmonds. Pete Edmonds, his name is. I don't know who Peter Thomas was there.
Yeah, that was there. He was just mentioning how good the bass was.
I see what you. Yeah.
Yep. Just a shout out, and also great guitars mentioned from Doubtful Sounds. So there's some people kind of tuning in and capturing some of these beautiful moments. That these is the band, the Golden Gaytimes. It's an exciting next couple of weeks. As you said, you've gigged it a little bit, but to be able to gig it for another month, long may this continue in amongst your work.
Yeah, well, we figure, I mean, it's one album. We haven't played it to everyone yet, so we're sort of going to gig that for a bit, but we're working up towards our next album. There's a bunch of things that are kind of sitting here in the bank waiting to have lyrics put to it or, whatever. So we're working up on the next one, but we figure there's still plenty to see this one album that we've done.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And in amongst one album, there's always a couple of songs that didn't make the album that make that can make the list in amongst gigs. And do you do any covers in amongst your live gigs as well?
Yeah, we just do actually one of the songs on the album is a cover, but it's a very, very, very different treatment. Like it's got nothing in common with the original. So Enjoy Yourself, which is the last track, was Guy Lombardo did a version of that in the 50s, and it's real smooth jazz crooner kind of number. So it's been totally kind of punked up. So so that's a cover. But then if we get an encore and we don't have a hard curfew to be off stage, Edward gets up, or Tinkles gets up and does a wacky version of Hard to Be Humble.
Right.
Which is a bit of an old country song. But I won't give away his party trick because
don't please.
Yeah,
you have to come and see the
it's the highlight. For me, it's the highlight of the show. It's because it's the end. I'm finished. I'm down in the audience where I love to be, and I'm watching Tinkles
get
do
to enjoy
this
it.
Wacky thing with Hard to Be Humble. Yeah,
very cool, very cool. I mean, we must talk about stage entrances, and I found this little clip in amongst your stuff, and it doesn't always go to plan, or was it part of the plan? That's the question. But let's play a little bit of this.
Mm.
It's all about
Triggering.
it's all about the recovery, right? Whether it's set up or not, who knows? We'll
No,
have to
no,
wait and
no.
find it.
And that it was always just a matter of time. It
Yes.
was never really my idea, the stretcher. It was always terrific. It had a good impact,
Yeah, in
but it was
theory.
always just a random drunk person at a pub that we rope in to do it.
Yeah.
So I've always been a little bit anxious about doing it because I knew I'd
Mm.
get hurt one day. And
Mm.
you know, Scott would say, "Stop being negative and stop getting your crystal ball out and stop being a whinger
Yeah.
and just da.
Rock and roll.
And then lo and behold, we did the rugby fundraiser, and the stupid drunk rugby boys decided it'd be a really funny idea to start bouncing the stretcher and skipping, which of
Yeah.
course the stretcher is not designed to have that happen to it.
No.
So it broke. It launched me up, and then the rail broke. I broke my wrist. I had to have surgery.
Wow.
You know, plates and screws, and I'm still not completely better from it. You know, like I mean, it's come good, but you know, but I did the gig. I got up and did the gig.
That's an incredible effort with a busted.
Look, I couldn't have if I played drums or guitar. Do you know,
Sure.
like I mean, my left arm just hung like a broken wing,
Yeah.
and you know, I didn't hold the microphone, and I tried not to look at my hand getting fatter and fatter as the
in amongst the pain.
Mm.
Well, well done. The show must go on, as we said at the start of this. Rock and roll is alive, well and truly. But you're a born entertainer, Jane, and I think the whole band has definitely resonate that in spades. So make sure you get out and see these guys, the Golden Gaytimes. Jane O, I must say. Who gave you that nickname in amongst the band?
Oh, my brother used to call me between Janus, like anus with a J, and Jane O. And so then when because Scott's my partner, he picked up on that. So all of his mates kind of know me as Jane O. So that's it. I'm Jane O.
There you go. And just the last question for you: the songwriting process for you guys. How does it kind of work as a band? Is it different on different tracks, or is there kind of a bit of a fluid plan that you guys go through each time?
Look, it's so. Look, most of them, Scott. I mean, with when Greg was still in the band, Scott and Greg would sort of riff off each other and come up with a few licks and whatever. Scott's got the whole what is it, guitar? Oh, he's got the program that you can produce and edit on you know. So you know, you have all your DIs and you know, so you have your keyboards and everything and your guitars and and he'll layer and he'll edit and edit and edit and edit. He'll go down the neurodiverse kind of wormhole.
Yeah,
and spend hours and hours chopping things around and whatever. With a couple of the songs, so Nicola Tia Maria, who's not in the band anymore, but she and I wrote the lyrics to a few of them. The fellas would all go to the pub and they go, right, we're going to the pub. We want the words written for this when we get back.
Yeah, nice.
And so we'd so go, right, okay. And we'd write this silly song and we'd come back and they'd be like, yeah, okay, that's good. And we're like, serious? Radio? Okay. So, you know, those ones worked like that. With the theme song, Scott penned all of that. And that was real last minute to like 5 minutes to midnight, like deadline. We had to get it done. And there was nothing. And he just, I don't know, he pulled that out of somewhere, you know, and the spelling of the letters, how he got that all to fit. I was quite blown away. I'm like, how you did that, I don't know. But anyway.
Well, the new single that's being pushed and promoted right now is Swipe Right and Swipe Left, all part of this great new album, first album for you guys, Hot as Buggery. Please get out there and check it out. I'm going to post the links again on the comments of this detail. And make sure you get out and see these gigs, most importantly.
Hopefully we'll see you there, Aaron.
Yeah, I'll definitely get down to one of them. Probably the Cherry Bars for me, to be honest. I love that place, and I think it's a cool vibe. Cram you guys on stage, and it'll be an absolute ball up there. And it will be hot as buggery for sure, no doubt. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jane.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you could jump on and have a chat to us and get to understand a little bit more about your band and in amongst what's going on in your life. So thanks for joining us, and hit us up anytime you got something new for sure.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Aaron.
All right. No worries. We're just going to play the tour dates again and we'll post those in the comments as well. So enjoy tomorrow night. We've got Steve Pinkerton coming on. That'll be a great chat. Sorry, not tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So make sure you come back and join us for that, everyone. So thanks, Jane, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay, bye.
See ya. Fantastic to have Jane Harvey, affectionately known as Jane-O, to us and so many as part of the Golden Gaytimes. So here we are with the gigs for this weekend and the next month in amongst their tour. Make sure you get out and see it. It's going to be a killer. Enjoy the week.
I don't do long walks on beaches. I don't cuddle after sex. I don't do coffee. Yes, I'm damaged. Just ask my ex.